PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Do you ever feel like you're normal and the rest of the world has lost its collective mind?
Put your helmet on. We'll be reaching speeds of 3.
Do you find people saying this to you a lot?
Are you totally deranged?
Are you looking for a looking glass to pass through?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Or looking for a rabbit hole to fall down?
Who could think of a better punishment, really? Everything's the same here, it's just a little worse.
Guess what?
Life's a bitch. Now so am I.
You found it. Welcome to Platinum Rose's Garden.
Well, hello, my darlings. This is Platinum Rose Lady welcoming you to Platinum Rose's Garden on Saturday, February 11th, 2017. Well, winter has hit New England hard. We had a little bit of a snow issue this week, and they're looking at more snow over the weekend, and there's blizzard warnings and tra-la, you know. Oh boy. What can you say? It's New England, and we actually lucked out pretty well this year. I mean, we didn't get snow until February, like major snow until February, so that's always a good thing. I can actually deal with snow. I mean, I'm not bananas about it, you know, but I can deal. It's not snow so much that I have a problem with. It's ice. That's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with ice because ice always finds me. I don't know how, but I am always the person that steps on the ice and then goes for a little ride. Straight up in the air and then down on my ass. Every time. I actually had that happen one time where I was walking down very slowly, I'd like to add, actually, you know, trying to take care, walking down an icy hill and did the whole whoop, went straight up in the air. I could see my feet in front of me and then came down with this almighty splat right on my tailbone. Oh my gosh, that hurt. Not fun. So I hope everybody had a great week. My week was pretty okay. Like I said, you know, blizzard and all that. But, you know, last week was a really exciting event. There was a lot of real, you know, grandeur and spectacle. And it was really fantastic. Doesn't Lady Gaga put on a fantastic concert? Oh my gosh, I love her so much. Oh yeah, and there was some football thing happening too. Yep, the Super Bowl was last week, you know, the Patriots against the Falcons, and I'm serious. I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan, and I thought her performance was just amazing. I wish I was half as talented as she is. She is just so awesome. And I know some people out there might still be smarting about the way things turned out with the game and all that. And we all know that gloating isn't exactly ladylike. And if I'm nothing else, I am a lady. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time to lose them, 'cause we are the champions. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I don't know how that got in there. I know. I'm a bitch. I know. I should really be ashamed of myself, but I'm totally not. Haha. Sucks to be everybody else. And of course, all the hating started online and stuff like that. All the, like, on Twitter, there was all this hashtag not my Super Bowl and all this stuff like that. To which my response is, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. Anyway. Moving on, obviously the important thing to talk about this week is what's going on right now out in sunny and warm Las Vegas, Nevada, you rat bastards. The Supernatural Convention that is going on as I record this, which is really great. I hope everybody's having an excellent time out there and taking lots of cool photos and posting all your fan experiences, because there's absolutely nothing like a supernatural convention. I've been to a lot of conventions in my day, not as many as I used to be, unfortunately. And I have to say, going to a supernatural convention was one of the highlights of my con-going time. And speaking of supernatural, let's get to this week's Supernatural episode recap.
Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Season 12, Episode 11 of Supernatural, regarding Dean. The then of the episode at the beginning dealt with witches, what we know about witches, and their usual procedures of casting spells and causing mayhem and stuff like that. There's none of that do no harm stuff in the supernatural universe when it comes to witches, apparently. And the whole hex bag thing and the fact that witches tend to kill people with their spells. And, of course, the best-known witch right now in Supernatural, Rowena, Crowley's mother, who has helped Sam and Dean on occasion and also been a thorn in their side on more than one occasion. And, oh yeah, the whole thing where she almost got Castiel killed with that whole mad dog spell of hers. And now we're at now, and we see a guy running in the woods somewhere. He calls someone on the phone, leaves a frantic call for them. As he's fleeing, he's been injured, and we realize he's being hunted by Dean Winchester. Dean's chasing this guy in the woods at night, so obviously he's some sort of a bad guy. We see the guy up against a tree. He's probably been mortally wounded, and Dean holds his gun on him, and the guy turns and kind of looks at Dean and grins, slams his hand into the tree, and this purple light comes out of the tree from these symbols carved into the tree that this guy did in his final moments. Dean gets blasted backwards, and we get the opening credits. We see Dean coming to in a forest, same forest, and he wakes up next to a bunny, which is actually alive. Bunnies don't usually stay alive very long around witches. And Dean kind of holds the rabbit for a second and pets it, and it's super ridiculously cute. He manages to stumble his way out of the woods and onto a jogging path where people assume he's some kind of homeless person. One lady gives him some money. He can't call Sam because his phone is damaged. And he manages to convince another jogger that he's not, drunk or anything like that. And, can he use his phone because his phone is broken? It turns out where Dean is right now is in Arkansas. Dean calls Sam, and I was kind of surprised Sam answered since it said unknown caller, but he did answer. And Dean's still a little fuzzy, which we kind of figure is probably because he got thrown up against a tree. Sam manages to find Dean at a diner where Dean's going to town on his second plate of waffles. The thing is, we can tell something's wrong right from the get-go when Dean and Sam are talking. Dean doesn't remember what happened last night, including this fight with the guy. He doesn't remember anything about what happened. It's just he thinks he's been on a bender. We see a young woman walk into the diner with some of her friends. She looks over at Dean and gets this look on her face like, oh my God, and I'm like, well, I would think, oh my God, too, if I saw Dean Winchester, but it's not the good kind of oh my God, it's the bad kind of oh my God look. It turns out, as Sam's explaining it to Dean, trying to bring Dean back up to speed, they're on a case that a gentleman had died in a way that sounded a little bit hinky, so the Winchesters were checking it out. Dean's still not registering any of this. As they're leaving, Dean almost forgets to pay for his food, and when the woman walks up to him and, starts talking to him in a way that kind of suggests they know each other, at least in possibly the biblical sense, and Dean is totally blank on who this woman is, she winds up slapping him in the face. At the morgue in their FBI get-ups, looking delicious as always, Dean's definitely not being himself. the site of it turns out this guy was involved with, money, and he was like a banker, like a loan person kind of a deal, and he died choking on money. And Sam pulls out the evidence bag of the money that was pulled out from the guy's stomach, and Dean almost throws up all over the place. Definitely not like Dean at all. And Sam also finds a hex bag, so we're definitely dealing with witches. And things are getting obviously extremely not good when they're out in the car, and Dean can't remember which key is supposed to start Baby, and he doesn't seem to be able to remember how to drive her either, because when he does put the key in, he goes forward instead of in reverse. As Sam's crying, Sam still thinks that Dean might be drunk or, hungover really badly or something like that. And Sam's, I wouldn't say chiding him, but Sam's kind of being like, you gotta pull it together. Dean's kind of looking over at him, and Sam's voice is sounding we were looking at things from Dean's point of view. Sam's voice sounds like it's kind of distant and tinny, and he's looking at Sam, but the vision is very fuzzy. And when Sam says Dean's name, Dean says, "Who's Dean?" And Sam gets this kind of look on his face like, oh fuck, he's not hungover, something's very badly wrong. They go back to the hotel, and Dean is insisting that he's fine, also throwing in a Dory reference, because he brings up the fact that if a witch had hexed him, he'd be dead. He wouldn't be acting like Dory from the Finding Nemo and Finding Dory movies. And when Sam kind of looks at him for a second, Dean's response is, not going to apologize for loving that fish. Not to you, not to anyone. The fact that Dean Winchester has seen the Finding Nemo and Finding Dory movies, I don't care. That's precious. That is just precious as hell. I'm sorry. And I know Dean would probably punch me for saying that, but it'd be worth it. Sam's definitely of the opinion that Dean's been hexed somehow or cursed or whatever. And when Dean can't even remember what a lamp is called, Sam has to resort to putting up Post-it notes to try and help his brother. And Sam decides they need some help on this. And Rowena is the person he decides to turn to. I don't know why he felt he couldn't turn to Cass, other than the fact that Castiel is probably still reeling from the episode last week with Lily Sunder. So we see Rowena, who is somewhere playing cards with a group of gentlemen, and totally cheating, because, hello, Rowena. And she gets a call from Sam. From the sound of it, the way Sam's describing the spell, she tells him that it's some kind of a spell that erases the memory, but that it takes time to work. And in order to break the spell, the witch who cast it has to be killed. Sam gets done with the phone call to Rowena, turns around and realizes that the room is -1 Dean. Naturally, Sam's like, oh fuck, and runs out the door and is, calling for Dean and looking around for him, and finds Dean still in the motel area, at another room in the motel. Dean went out to get ice, and Dean's at another person's door trying to use the key card to get in. Obviously this wasn't an occupied room, otherwise I think the other person might be frantically calling the cops or something, I don't know. The brothers go back to the office of the victim, the dead guy that we had, and it turns out they had been there before, checking things out. And they're back now at the office to try and retrace Dean's steps. Because they had separated earlier on. We obviously saw the whole thing where Dean was out in the woods hunting this guy. That at that time, Dean had gone to get something to eat, and Sam was working on lore. So they've come back to the guy's office to see if they can try and figure anything else out. Dean looks at the photos on the victim's wall and looks right at one of the photos, and the photo is of the victim shaking hands with the guy he was chasing in the woods. And there's nothing. No spark of recognition at all. They do remember that Dean was going to go get burgers, and they've been checking out the burger bars, trying to figure out which one he was at. They find the bar where he was, and it turns out that the woman that slapped him at the diner is a woman who is a waitress at the bar. And she's also less than happy to see Dean again. But Sam explains that they're FBI agents Moon and Entwistle. And if you have to get that joke, you are watching Supernatural, right? The woman's less than impressed because she says that Dean used the alias Springsteen the night before. Sam says Dean's been roofied, and they think that he's been roofied, and they're trying to retrace his steps to find out what happened. The waitress explains that Dean came in and ordered some food, and the food was took a little bit of time in coming. He ordered a bunch of drinks, and then rode on Larry, the bar's mechanical bull. And after that, she and Dean got to know each other a little better. I'm not sure if it was in the biblical sense, but she did mention they let off steam, whatever that means. And Dean is really friggin' pissed he can't remember any of this. Although she is actually quite nice to him, because she does believe the whole thing that he might have been roofied, and now she feels terrible about it, and she apologizes that she might have taken advantage of him, and Dean's like, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. The brothers watch the security footage that the bar has of the outside of the bar, and because the bartender told the waitress that Dean left in a huge hurry. So Sam and Dean look at the security footage, and Dean followed this guy outside, the guy that we know as being the dead guy in the woods, the witch that casts the spell. He confronted the guy, and the guy tossed Dean using a spell. And when Dean sees himself shooting at the guy on the video, he's impressed that he knows how to shoot a gun, and my heart breaks a little bit. While they're outside looking for the spell for the gun casings and stuff, Dean has forgotten that Sam and Dean are hunters, that they hunt witches and monsters, and that witches and monsters are even real. While they're in the woods searching for any more clues that they can find, Sam finds the tree with the markings put into it. They're called glyphs. It's kind of like a sigil, I think, which was used on the spell that cursed Dean. Dean, to his absolute horror, finds the body of the witch, the dead body. See, and this is obviously putting up a big ass problem, because if this is the witch that cast the spell and the witch is dead, why isn't he cured? And we come back a little later on after a commercial, and we see other people who find the body of the witch that's been left in the woods. It's a man and a woman, and they're obviously extremely upset. The man refers to the woman as Cat, and they blame the guy's death. It turns out his name was Gideon, on hunters, and the gentleman berates Cat about the spell that they put on the banker that apparently cost them some money, swindled them, or lost money for them or something like that, and he was killed out of revenge for that. Back at the motel, Sam's going through research, and when there's a knock on the door, Dean just gets up and opens the door before Sam can stop him, and lets Rowena in. And Dean doesn't remember Rowena at all. It seems like he's very polite to her and compliments her on her hair, and he's actually incredibly sweet to her. There's almost this kind of sweet innocence about Dean that really appealing. I was kind of with Rowena for a minute when she's like, do we have to fix him? And I was like, maybe, no, bad Kim, we have to fix him. Yes, definitely have to fix him. Rowena explains that what's been done to Dean is a spell called a Dirmod. It's a spell it's an old Celtic spell. It's druidic magic from the Druids. And there was one family of witches that were known to cast the spell that dealt in druidic magic. And they were known as the Laughlins. And they came to this country from the old country, from Europe. And they kind of set themselves up as this powerful witch family in America that other witches would go to get, to learn from them for a price. And that there are, as far as we know, 3 members left of the family. 2 brothers and a sister, Gideon, Boyd, and Katrina. Or Katriana, I'm not sure how you say it. Gideon was the man that was killed in the woods, the one that hexed Dean, and the 2 people we saw in the woods are Boyd and Katrina. It turns out that, and Sam's like, but if this guy Gideon's the one that cursed Dean and he's dead, how are we supposed to fix this? And the way it can be fixed is by using a book that the Laughlins have called the Black Grimoire, which is a book of dark magic. And the thing is, this spell is only going to get worse. It's very obvious Dean's forgetting, stuff that's, very basic things so far. He's going to forget, but Rowena tells Sam it's going to get worse. He's going to forget everything. He's going to forget Sam. He's going to forget all the people he loves in his life besides Sam. He's going to forget himself. He's going to forget how to speak. He's going to forget how to swallow. He might even forget from the sound of it, he might even forget how to breathe. This spell is going to cause a horrible, horrible death. Which Dean comments kind of blithely, sucks to be that guy, because he doesn't realize that it's him that this is happening to, and oh man, I want to hold him to my bosom so much. So they obviously have to get this Black Grimoire, and Rowena has to cast the spell to fix it, although Sam's not particularly crazy about the idea of trusting her. We see Sam and Dean talking in the bathroom, and Sam's told him about his life as much as Dean can process, and Sam tells him they're going to fix this. They're going to make it better. In a scene that just completely broke my heart, Sam actually confides something in Rowena that I was like, that's so unbearably true. He tells her that he's seen his brother die. I mean, he has. He saw Dean get pulled apart by hellhounds. He saw Dean die over and over and over again in the whole mystery spot thing. He held Dean while he died after he was stabbed by Metatron. But like he says, but watching him become not him, this might actually be worse. And oh man, I'm sorry, that just fucking killed me. Fucking killed me dead. We see Dean in the bathroom still trying to hold on to his memories. He's in the, looking at himself in the mirror, telling himself, his name, that Sam's his brother, that Mary's his mother, that he can't even say Castiel. He can't remember Cass's whole name, and that Cass is his best friend. And as this is going on, Sam's still talking with Rowena. Sam's kind of doubtful about Rowena's altruism and the fact that she does seem actually pretty eager to help them, surprisingly enough, although Sam's really not buying it, that she's doing this out of the goodness of her heart, which she actually pretty much admits she isn't. He knows she wants this Black Grimoire book, And she admits it pretty much, but also admits that having the Winchesters owe her a little favor wouldn't be such a bad thing either. As we cut back into the bathroom with Dean looking in the mirror and trying so hard to just even remember his own name, and he can't. It's like trying to hold on to sand. That's like watching sand slip through your fingers. And Sam basically tells Rowena he's going to go to the Laughlins and get them to give him the information to, translate this spell and cure Dean. And he makes it very obvious by holding up a gun full of witch-killing bullets. He's going to do it by any means necessary, because fuck all is going to keep Sam Winchester from not protecting his brother. And we cut back to Dean, who's still looking in the mirror, and he's forgotten so much, and you can see it, and you can see there's no, this isn't like it was earlier where it was like, he forgot all of the bad shit that he's been through, and he's just kind of innocent and having, kind of everything's exciting and different and stuff like that. This is a scared human being that's almost like a child. And I was like, anybody wants my heart? It's in pieces all over the floor. This is killing me. We see Sam driving off in the Impala, and Rowena's been left back at the motel with Dean, because Sam obviously can't leave Dean by himself. Dean's actually, like I said, there's almost like this childlikeness about him, because he keeps having to touch things, and Rowena's like, stop it. You just got this stop touching things thing happening, and she finally gives him a voodoo doll and some pins to play with. I'm like, okay, the voodoo doll, okay. I don't think giving him a big bunch of straight pins is a good idea, but you know what you're doing. And she says she's going to tell him a story. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, why do I have a feeling this isn't going to have a very happy ending story? And she tells him about herself and how she was chased out of England by the British men of letters and came to America, and all this stuff that she's telling him. And as she's talking and she starts talking about him, she also tells him that he's a killer, that he has killed a lot of people. We see Sam showing up at the Laughlin house and taking down their guard. And Rowena's still talking with Dean, and actually tells Dean, it's kind of an interesting way she does it. She does tell Dean that he's a killer, but she also tells him in a way that he and Sam are heroes, that they help people, and she tells him that, she doesn't help people, not for the good reasons that, like Sam and Dean do, but, and she talks with him about meeting God and his sister and all that stuff like that, and the look of wide-eyed what on Dean's face about meeting God and his sister, I think he's like, what? The thing that I thought was really cute was Dean asking her, why are you telling me all of this stuff? And she kind of looks at him almost with this fond, motherly kind of a look, and tells him basically she's telling him all this stuff because he won't remember it. And she gives him a little boop on the nose. And I'm sorry, that was just friggin' adorable. Sam breaks into the house and has Rowena on the phone while he's trying to find the book. Sam finds Katrina in a room where they've got her brother Gideon's body, because they took his body back to the house. Ugh. And they're obviously going to do some kind of a ritual in it. And he winds up being tossed into the wall by a spell from Boyd. Katrina starts chanting working some kind of a spell, and it's making the dead butterflies on her board. She's got butterflies pinned to the board. The wings start moving, and there's this piercing sound, and Sam's got his hands up to his ears, and he's screaming in pain. But the one thing that struck me in this scene is Rowena and Dean can hear this, all of what's going on the phone, and even though he can't remember anything else, Dean still calls Sam's name. And I was like, fuck yeah. We come back, and Dean is in the Impala, in the back seat of the Impala, with notes all over the place to stay put. One of them sounds like it was from Rowena, and the other ones all seem like they were from Sam. Sam's tied to a chair in the room with the remaining Laughlins and Gideon's corpse. What they intend to do is they intend to have a ritual to bring Gideon back, and Sam being tied to the chair is obviously part of the ritual. They know someone's in the house, though, and Katrina gives a knife to Boyd and goes out to see what's going on. Rowena and Katrina have a meeting, again, a reunion of sorts that's less than pleasant. Boyd explains that the plan is going to be to swap Sam's soul for Gideon's, and he cuts himself to get the ritual started. Katrina starts mocking Rowena, talking about how she had showed up on their doorstep, this flea-bitten, ragged mess. And she's very, very mocking, which quickly comes to a crashing halt until Rowena tosses her into a mirror. Dean, needless to say, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, doesn't stay put. Gets out of the Impala, goes to the trunk, opens it up, finds, the weapons cache in the trunk, and has this look on his face of cool. Except he looks a little disappointed when he sees the post-it note with the big no on the grenade launcher. But the important thing is that one of the things that is in the trunk is a gun with a post-it note saying, which killing bullets. Rowena and Katrina have a magical battle, which unfortunately ends up with Rowena on the losing side, pinned up against the wall, while Katrina tortures her by flinging pieces of glass at her. And before she could deliver the killing blow, Dean comes in. Katrina kind of mocks him at first because he's holding a gun on her, and she kind of mocks him until he holds up the post-it note that says, which killing bullets, and she's got this oh fuck look on her face for about 5 seconds before gun goes blam, Katrina falls to the floor with a ventilated skull. While this is going on, Sam manages to get out of his bonds, has a quick struggle with Boyd, and Boyd comes tearing down the stairs. Sam comes tearing down after him, and Dean aims his gun at both of them, and first aims it at Boyd and then aims it at Sam, and Sam's like, points to himself and goes, brother, frantically points at Boyd and goes, which, and Dean shoots and kills Boyd. We come back from break, and Rowena and Dean are in a room. They might be in the room where Gideon's body is. We don't know. Sam's still waiting downstairs. We hear Rowena chanting, and this purple light gets cast, and all of a sudden Rowena's walking down the stairs, and Dean's behind her. And Sam's asking, what happened? Did it work? Was everything all right? Kind of a thing. Dean kind of looks at him and asks who this long-haired hippie is, and the look on Sam's face like, oh shit, until Dean grins and teases his brother a little bit and makes the remark about that look on his face was the same look that Sam had when Dean ate all of his Halloween candy. And it's very obvious that Dean and Rowena both were in on this joke, because she laughs too. Dean is such a brat. And the look on Sam's face is this look that goes between you fucking jerk and I am so fucking happy you're okay. I missed you. I'm glad you're all right. I love you, big brother. It only happens in 0.5 seconds, but it is there because Jared Padalecki's just that good. We see Rowena leaving. We cut back to the motel where the Winchesters were staying, and Rowena's leaving in a cab. And she's got the black grimoire with her until Sam takes it. He's like, no, this is coming with us. Sam and Dean get ready to leave, and Sam says that he actually kind of envied Dean a little bit at first. And, Dean's like, why? Because I had a curse that almost got me killed. And Sam's like, no, it's because all the things that they've been through, the things they've had to do, the things they've had to seen, the things they've had to have seen all their lives, that they've had all this weight on their shoulders for so long. And seeing Dean without all of that awful baggage, Sam tells him that he looked like he was happy. And Dean says that, it was nice to drop the baggage for a little bit, maybe, but he tells him that it wasn't just the bad stuff that got lost, it was the good stuff too. It was remembering the good times with Sam, the friendship that he had with Cass, probably forgetting Bobby and John and Mary, when Dean was 4 and from now that Mary's back, he was forgetting all of it. And, his whole attitude is that, he'd take a pass on ignorance being bliss. He says, so if that's what happy looks like, I think I'll pass. And Dean fiddles with the keys for a second, and Sam makes a smart ass remark about it's the big shiny one, and Dean tells him to shut up. And we see them, getting in the car and getting ready to go. And then we get something really interesting. We get a montage of the time when Dean was hexed, before it was like Dean's hexed and it's really bad. It was when Dean was hexed and innocent and enjoying life and riding the mechanical bull and just having fun and being a person that didn't have all that horrible shit weighing on their hearts, as a song plays called Broomstick Cowboy. And the episode ends. I absolutely loved Regarding Dean. I am giving it 4.5 bouquets out of 5. Both the guys completely knocked it out of the park, as always. The scene with Jensen Ackles when he's standing in front of the mirror trying to hold on to who Dean Winchester is so damn sad and so well acted. I mean, Jensen, seriously, fucking kudos, man. I'm not fucking kidding. And Jared Padalecki, also great job as Sam, as always. But the whole thing, when Sam is talking to Rowena, and people tend to forget that, people tend to say, oh, Sam's a big puppy, and Sam's, so Sam's the sweet one and stuff like that. And Sam is sweet. And he's a very good human being in spite of what he thinks. He is a very good human being. But when he's holding that gun and telling Rowena that he's going to get the spell and he's going to make the Laughlins cure his brother, Sam Winchester can be a right terrifying motherfucker when he wants to be. And I really think that Jared showed that. And also, like I said, the scene at the end when there's so much going through Sam's face once he realizes my brother's okay and, being my bratty older brother and messing with me. Man, I missed him. I loved that. I thought that was really, really special and fantastic. And Ruth Connell, whom I just adore, I just absolutely adore Ruth Connell. She is... I know there's a lot of people that don't like Rowena, and I don't know why, because I think she's a fantastic character. And I loved the fact that we got to see kind of a different side of Rowena in this episode. The whole scene where she's telling Dean this story, and the whole thing with the nose boop, there was almost a maternalness to her that I really liked, because she's dealing with this overgrown man-child right now, and she's actually being kind to him, where other people would be sarcastic or cruel, and I liked that. I thought that was really well done. So definite kudos to Meredith Glynn, who wrote this episode and did a fantastic job, and to John Badham, who directed it. Terrific. Absolutely fantastic. Supernatural will be back next week with the episode Stuck in the Middle with You, where we find out that where the Winchesters find out that Mother Mary has been actually communicating with the British men of letters, and that's probably gonna go as well as we all think it's gonna go. In other words, shit's gonna major league hit the fan. And that, cats and kittens, is going to wrap up another week here on Platinum Rose's Garden. I hope you enjoyed my show. If you have any questions, comments, queries, complaints, money, chocolate, anything you'd like to send my way, if you could please send that to platinumrosel@yahoo.com. Put PRG in the header. I will definitely read it on the air and make you famous for just a minute or two. Hopefully you will check out the other shows that I am involved with, and also my dear sweet long-suffering husband TC is involved with. Those would include Subject Cinema over at subjectcinema.com, which is our movie podcast, where we talk about movies and movie reviews and news and all kinds of crazy fun stuff like that, over at subjectcinema.com, as I said. There is also our newest show, which is TC's solo show. He figured if I could sit here and rabbit on and on, so could he. Catastrophe Vortex is the name of his new show. TC is a disaster movie fan, and he is doing his show about disaster movies. And hopefully, if you are a disaster movie fan or know someone who is, you will come and check out that show also. And you can also check out our other show, Front Row 5 and 10, which is our list show, where we talk about, we will do a list count up of a specific topic and, give that topic our full attention. This week we're looking at our top 10 giant monsters. You can tell who came up with that list. Haha, me. And I hope you'll check that out. And you can also check out Cavebabble, which is our good friends, the Lion family. They have a podcast where they do talk about movies and games and music, and Cavebabble eats odd things, and they're just great people, and I hope you'll check that out too. I would also like to bring up something really special for me from this week's episode of Supernatural. The song that was playing over the end montage is a song called Broomstick Cowboy by Bobby Goldsboro. Now, the reason I know that is because while I was watching the show and taking notes and such, my guy walks in the room and goes, "Oh my God, that's Bobby Goldsboro. I haven't heard him for years." And I'm like, who? This is what happens when you live with someone who's a musical Rolodex. Because if you give that's my guy, oh my God, he's so amazing. You can give him any song, pretty much any song, no matter how obscure or weird, and he'll probably be able to tell you who sang it, when they sang it, where it charted. It's really cool when you're watching Jeopardy and there's a music question, music category comes up, because I just sit back and watch him go. It's just funny. So I hope everybody out there has a great week. Obviously, coming up is Valentine's Day, so I hope you got something nice for your sweetheart and didn't go for the cheap plunk. I hope you splurged and got the good chocolate. I would like to say happy Valentine's Day right now to my sweetie, my Amzadi, my darling, the man who puts up with me and all of my crazy shit. TC, who is just fantastic and wonderful, and mwah, virtual kiss. So, this is Platinum Rose Lady signing off for another week, reminding you to love the ones you hug the ones you love, and take some time to stop and smell the roses. I'll see you around. Bye. More snow. Ah!
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNRNetworks.